Conscience Scene 5. Teddy was disconsolate. He could not face them. He waited, motionless, for Jennifer to get there with the diaper bag. He heard Jennifer sigh and get up from the couch. He felt the floor shudder slightly as she dropped the bag by his feet and sat down on the carpet next to him. She grasped him firmly at the sides, picked him up, turned him around, and laid him on his back. Jennifer smiled down at him maternally, put a pacifier in his mouth, and proceeded to pull up his t-shirt and change him. Lisa watched him flail his legs in distress as she said, "Ted has begged me over and over to do a portrait of him. I think this would be the perfect time to spend an afternoon in the studio and shoot a complete portfolio of Teddy. That is, if you have the time." Jennifer looked at his face and her smile turned into a wide grin and she said, "That's a wonderful idea. I'd love to have an album of baby pictures. I have all afternoon." Lisa continued, "A colleague of mine who specializes in juvenile portraits got married last week and went on her honeymoon. I let her store all of her equipment, props, and costumes in my photography studio until she returns. She won't mind if I use some of her props and costumes to do some baby portraits for a friend. We'll have everything we need for a full session." Jennifer finished changing Teddy and picked him up, placed him against her shoulder, went to the couch and sat down. "Let's get started right now," Jennifer said. They went into the studio and sat on a chair while Lisa adjusted the lights and unpacked the props and costumes. Presently, she came back and said, "Okay, I'm ready. We'll begin over there." She indicated a platform with a small white bearskin rug. "Take off his diaper and lay him down on his tummy." Jennifer did so and stood to one side. Lisa picked up her camera and began shooting. "Smile baby, buying smile. Come on baby. Buying smile." She stopped and frowned. "This isn't going to work if he doesn't cooperate. Jennifer, see if you can do anything with him." Jennifer sat down on the platform next to Teddy, laid her hand on his bare bottom and said, "Teddy, I want you to do what Lisa says. Do you understand?" Teddy lay fixedly with a grim expression on his face. She picked him up and sat him up facing her. He crossed his arms and balked. Looking determined, she said, "If you don't start cooperating right now, I'm going to spank you." Teddy held out against her threat resolutely. He had decided that they could take all the degrading and embarrassing photos they wanted, but he was not going to help. He frowned up at her obstinately. "That's it," she said, and picked him up and put him on her lap, tummy down, and held him there with her left hand. "You'll do what I tell you to do baby," she said, and proceeded to spank his bottom. He felt helpless and humiliated. The pain increased with every swat and he began to suffer intensely. His anguish was unbearable and he began to cry. After what seemed like an eternity, she stopped, sat him up on her lap and said, "Are you going to be a good baby? Or do I spank you some more?" He nodded, tears of submission rolling down his face, and she put him back down on the rug. She went to her purse, took out a tissue and wiped his nose and face. "Now smile, baby," she commanded. Lisa shot a dozen pictures with him lying naked on the rug. She put down her camera, went to the wardrobe and came back with something pink and lacy in her arm. "Diaper him, then dress him in this," she said. "I think I've got an idea for an adorable picture." Jennifer diapered him, then lifted his feet and put them through the holes of something. As she pulled it down his legs, he saw it was a pair of plastic panties, pink plastic baby panties with lace. She was dressing him in rumba baby panties. He was mortified. Lisa handed Jennifer a matching pink baby doll dress and sunbonnet. "Put these on him and put him down on the carpet. I'll get some shots of him creeping," Lisa said. Jennifer sat him on the carpet and Lisa took pictures from various angles. "This is horrible," he thought and frowned. "Smile baby. Smile or mama will spank," Jennifer said. He pasted a sick smile on his face and Lisa said, "Perfect, it looks like he's just about to take a dump in his didy." She snapped a few shots of him and looked over her camera with a particularly nasty smile on her face. "Crawl, baby. Crawl so Aunt Lisa can take pictures of you at your best. Give us an endearing pose, we want to see your sweet inner child. Your mommy will have an album of you acting cute and adorable. Jennifer will have these pictures to remember when you were her precious little baby. From now on I'm going to think of you as the sweet, precious, little baby in these photos. I'm never going to let you forget these pictures either, Teddy baby, ever. He crept around the floor while they laughed and taunted him. It was far, far worse than he had imagined. They photographed him playing with rattles, sucking on bottles and pacifiers, chewing stuffed animal toys, and lying on his back and sucking and playing with his toes. Lisa shot dozens of rolls of film. Wait here for a minute, Jennifer. I'll be right back. I saw something he'd look adorable in, Lisa said, putting down the camera. She returned a minute later with a bulky yellow garment over one arm and said, "Put him in this and I'll get some baby pictures to treasure forever." Jennifer sat him up and slipped the garment over his head and buttoned it down the back. Ted looked down to see what she was dressing him in and was horrified to see she was putting him in a baby doll dress. It was an infant's yellow satin party dress and had a crinoline petticoat attached beneath. The skirt was extremely short and stood out stiffly at the waist, exposing his diapers if he were to do anything but sit quietly. Jennifer finished the dress off by tying a large bow in front at waist height. Jennifer set him down on the floor on his hands and knees. The stiff petticoat forced the skirt up in back as he crept along, exposing his padded bottom to the women's view. Lisa laughed and moved behind him with the camera, saying, "That's it, honey. That's the picture I've been looking for. Now freeze." There was the sound of the camera clicking and whirring as the camera took picture after picture of his degradation. "Jennifer, help me," Lisa shouted. "I have an idea. Pick his bottom up so that his legs are holding his bottom in the air and he can bend over and look through his legs upside down while holding his shoulders off the ground with his hands. You'll have to arrange the skirt so his face won't be obscured when I take his picture. This will be an adorable shot. Are you ready? Okay then, let's go." Jennifer arranged Teddy and then stepped back so Lisa could take the picture. Lisa took a few pictures and said, "He's frowning. We need something to cover up his mouth." "I know, put a pacifier in it. Then it won't matter whether he's frowning or not." Jennifer plopped a pacifier in his mouth and smiled at the effect it produced. He looked like a sweet little baby girl showing off her didies to company. Teddy wobbled on his hands and legs a bit and managed to hold his position until Lisa finished. He felt himself dribble in the diaper uncontrollably as he stood there. The dress and lace seemed to have a profound effect on his personality. He felt much more exposed than he had when he had been spanked earlier. The quiet rustling of the petticoat made him feel tiny and helpless. Resistance was not only futile when he was dressed this way, it was unthinkable. He was only a plaything in the hands of the women to be dressed in whatever fancy struck them. He glanced at the lace framing his face and whimpered behind the pacifier as he peed into the diaper again. He knew he'd never be able to stand up to Jennifer again. Whether she changed him back to an adult in the future or not didn't matter anymore. He'd never be able to look her in the eye as her superior again. He'd always remember the creamy look of satisfaction on the women's faces as he docilely obeyed their commands. She had him buffaloed and he knew it. The best he'd ever be able to manage would be to leave her, to divorce her before his personality became completely submerged in hers. When Lisa finished, she said, "All right, you can getting on your hands and knees again, baby, and take a rest while I get some more props and film." Teddy dropped to the floor and curled up in a fetal ball as she left the room. He sucked on the pacifier unconsciously with his eyes closed and concentrated on the agreeable sensations that his mouth was producing. He had given up, his will had broken and all the fight had gone out of him. He would do anything they said from now on. They took pictures him naked and wearing bibs, sunbonnets, and harnesses. They tormented him by making him act every inch a baby until he no longer cared what he did or what they said about him. At some point in the afternoon he peed in his diaper and he neither noticed the drooping diaper nor did he care when Lisa documented the entire diaper change. He had overloaded emotionally. He started crying and couldn't stop. Jennifer held him to her breast while he sobbed uncontrollably. She comforted him by saying, There, baby. It's all over now. No more pictures. Mommy will take baby home and give her baby Teddy a nice long warm bath. Then she'll feed you a nice dinner of strained fruits and vegetables. Teddy will feel all better after Mommy feeds him and he gets his bottle and goes night-night. Teddy felt strangely relieved by the thought and was only mildly insulted when she said, Take your binky, honey, and stuck a pacifier in his mouth. He quieted immediately and sucked on his pacifier. Within minutes he fell into an exhausted sleep in her arms. She talked a while with Lisa, packed up and drove home. He was completely worn out and slept until she woke him for his bath, later in the evening.